There are 4,218 PS2 games, and I've got to beat every one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing on the original hardware, but I've beefed it up using a RetroTink 5X, some component cables, and more to come soon. Can I do this before I die of old age? I hope so. Welcome to game number 42, the second patron pick, Kingdom Hearts 2. I did already play Kingdom Hearts 1, so if you'd like to follow along a little bit, you can go watch that video. However, here's the caveat. This game and all the other games have a very convoluted story, and that's not a bad thing. It's just something that I'm not going to be able to cover here very much because, well, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot more games that aren't even on the PS2, so we're just going to cover what I see and just enjoy it for what it is. Let's go! Kingdom Hearts 2 has begun, and I start new game, and I pick from one of the 4 difficulties. I, of course, pick beginner because I have 4,000 games to play, and if anyone thinks that these are not intended difficulties, the easiest difficulties to play the game on, then I don't know what to tell you. If they weren't intended, they wouldn't be here. It's not like they accidentally tripped and said, whoops, here's beginner mode, didn't intend for that to happen. All joking aside, this is serious. This is an intended difficulty, and I play them on the easiest if there is a possibility to do so. On a game like Monster Hunter, there is no choice, so I must play on whatever they intend. That's what an intended difficulty is. One more point I'd like to make is that I ran a poll on the channel to see if people would rather see me play the original Japanese Final Mix or the HD upgrade that is already in English. The HD version on the poll overwhelmingly won, and that's what I decided to play. I got it on PC, and I played it there so that I could play it in a much easier fashion, people could understand it easier, and it didn't take me years to set up. If you have an issue with that because I played it on PC, at the end of the video I'll discuss a little bit more. I don't want to take up time here, so go to the end of the video if you'd like to hear a little bit more about why that is a problem. The opening cinematic to the game shows a lot of past events from Kingdom Hearts 1 that lead into Kingdom Hearts 2, and also the game in between, Chain of Memories. I didn't play that game yet, but it's not that imperative since the story is so crazy and all the answers for the story come later in games that are not even on the PS2, so I wasn't too worried about it because I'm really just beating all these games. This isn't supposed to be about the story, so if you are a little confused about seeing this and you don't understand what's going on, don't worry, a lot of people are until you play the other games. So you'll see a lot of things on here that maybe foreshadow things that happen in the game. You will understand some stuff if you play this game and then come back and watch this. You'll say, oh, that's what that is. After the beautiful cutscenes, we finally meet this young man, Roxas, who is not Sora for some reason. We don't know why we're not playing Sora in Kingdom Hearts, the main character, especially on the box art. But we actually end up in Twilight Town, and it doesn't look anything like the Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts 1. In fact, a lot of things don't look like Kingdom Hearts 1, so you just have to accept it. This is the very long intro of the game that explains what exactly happens to Roxas in the first several days of him living in Twilight Town that we get to see at least. Roxas and his friends are discussing the fact that there's some thieves out there who have been stealing something, and we find out that they're stealing are photos, and those photos are pretty much just all photos of Roxas, but they can't even say the word photos. Whatever is stealing these things is stealing the entire word from their vocabulary, and it shows up as a little line on the dialogue box down there. But the problem is that it's a little hard to understand at first. Once you play this and you see what happens, you go, oh, I see. They literally stole the word. But the way they portray it's a little difficult. As the kids leave to find the thieves, Roxas kind of passes out, and we get to see this text at the bottom of the screen that's talking about his heart returning soon. We're not sure exactly what it means, but we'll figure out soon. So anyway, they're going on an investigation talking to everyone, and they're trying to find out who took these photos, and everyone believes it was them, even though they say they didn't do it. But everyone thinks it's them, including Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, the greatest character to ever exist. Also Cypher from Final Fantasy VIII, and he can go fuck himself. Just like in the first game, you're given a choice to choose what you want to start with, attack, magic, or defense. I choose attack. Really, it just determines how some of your skills come about, but it's nothing more than that anymore. They wanted to make it a little more streamlined, so I choose attack. I do a little tutorial fight with Cypher, and then to celebrate my win and rub it in Cypher's face, we get a picture taken of us. However, some random weird-looking thing comes over and steals the camera immediately after the picture's taken.
Oh shit.
We chase it down to this old mansion and pull out our tiny little beat stick with foam on the end and try and hit it, but we can't hit it. Because we're so frustrated, we suddenly summon the Keyblade from the first game.
Maybe it's a key all the time, and when you stick it in someone, it unlocks their death.
We whomp the little weird dude's ass, and then we bring the photos back to our friends. Roxas steps out into the sunlight, we get a black screen with some more text, and then it says restoration at 12%. Wonder what they're restoring. Well, these two guys right here, who we don't really know yet, except for Christopher Lee voicing the guy in red, say that the nobodies were stealing photos. So nobodies. That thing was a nobody, and they were stealing photos. And apparently, they're not sure why, because it's just data to them. We're starting to piece together a couple things, maybe. Everyone here begins to display their addiction to this sea salt ice cream special to Twilight Town, and that's not really good because it's full of friggin' sugar. We then decide we need some money so we can get a train to go to the other part of Twilight Town, and to do that we've got to take these help wanted jobs. There's a bunch of jobs. They're pretty much just little tutorials to kind of explain different parts of the game, and it takes a long time because each one only gives you a little bit of money. So there's some things like smacking a ball and keeping it up in the air for a max combo. One of them has us putting up posters around Twilight Town for the struggle battles. There are a total of 6, but the easiest one to do is this deliver mail one, because you can do it in about 10 seconds or under. You deliver mail to 5 people, including 2 birds, I'm not really sure why, but it's the quickest way to get money, and it's the way I definitely do it. And at the end, when you get enough money and you bring it back to your friends, you get like a little buff of AP for abilities, and the characters are all excited to get the ticket to the train, so they give me all the money to hold on to. And here's the shitty thing that happens. Some dude in these weird black robes comes up and manhandles us. I think we're like 15. What is this adult doing to us? Our friends see literally nothing, so it was all in our head. And when he manhandled us, he took all of our money, so we can't get on the train.
So we all got ice cream man sat on the clock, and it was dangerous. I don't know why our parents aren't telling us to stop doing this bullshit.
I don't know. I hope none of them falls off the clock tower at some point. After this scene, more is restored. We still don't know what's being restored. But then we see the guy in the black cloak from earlier who manhandled us, and in the cutscene before, he's the one who took the fucking money. And this guy in red's like, yeah, good job taking that money. Roxas has some dreams about Sora, clearly his celebrity crush. And then we see this young woman standing here in front of this big-ass pod that looks like a flower, and her name is Namine, and she just says a bunch of cryptic stuff to us. We have literally no clue what's going on, woman. She also, in fact, freezes time while our friends stand there in mid-stride, and she's like, I just wanted to meet you, and I'm like, I don't fucking know who you are. We're accosted by some of the nobodies, and we bring them back to town, where we then get into a fight similar to Kingdom Hearts 1, where we're inside of this like black area, fighting them on this big stained glass thing that shows all of our characters' faces. Much like in Kingdom Hearts 1, we can equip different abilities on our character as long as we have the ability points to do so, and I do, some aerial recovery, which is super helpful in the beginning of the game. Then we fight this big, huge boss, a nobody who slithers and creeps all around the screen. Then we get to use this new function, the Y function, or the triangle button. You press that and it does a specific thing during each part of the battle, and it can happen all throughout the game. In this part where you do it, you actually dodge his attacks as well as stop his attacks. So it's very situational. I honestly really like this fight just because of the animations this thing has and the moves it does, and the fact that you are blocking them. It makes you feel pretty powerful. You know, he's not really a hard boss or anything. It's just kind of a tutorial thing. Everyone is against us and doesn't want to tell us the truth about anything, but we point this guy out, we finger him, we're like, hey, you're the pickpocket, and then he shoves us through this scary portal. Apparently it's time for a little arena fighting sequence where we fight several of our people in town here in a match called The Struggle, where everyone has some orbs on them, and when you hit them, they drop the orbs, which means that if you get hit, you also drop your orbs. Whoever has the most orbs at the end of the struggle wins, or I think if you get 200, but it's a really kind of odd little game mode. It's fun, I guess. Vivi also joins us in the Battle of Struggle, and he actually turns out to be evil, so we beat the shit out of him. Vivi quickly turns into a nobody as time freezes around us, and we kick its ass. We finally get to fight one of the people in black robes, and his name is Axel, and he thinks he's so fucking cool. After the fight, the guy in red from some earlier cutscenes and Axel start yelling at me, and I don't know who either of them are. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not really sure why, but because we beat everyone in the struggle match, we get to fight Setzer from Final Fantasy VI, and he wants us to throw the match, and I'm like, no, fuck you. As we celebrate my win, I hold up some little jewels from the trophy I won, and guess who fucking falls off the clock tower? I fucking called it, man. Oh my god, it's Kairi and her big-ass feet. We haven't seen her yet. Anyway, she's got slight amnesia, and she can't quite remember everything that happened, nor can she remember what I look like or my name, Sora's.
Right? Sora?
Restoration at 79%. The guy in red reveals that the person he's been with is Ansem, which was the last boss from Kingdom Hearts 1, which is really surprising, and also means that the guy we saw earlier, Axel, is not this guy, so there's more people in black hoods. The Black Hood Enjoyers, or the BHEs, sit here on these big, huge thrones in this white room, and all the thrones are different heights, and I'm got to assume that it's because of rank or power or something, but this is a really weirdly and oddly set up room, and this is how they sit here and talk to each other. They also, like, jab each other and try and hit each other with weapons. I don't know what they're doing. It's day number 5, and we finally get enough money to go together on the train to the next part of Twilight Town. This area consists of us kind of going random places and fulfilling just the goal of we're looking for these 7 special things about this area of Twilight Town that people have been spreading rumors about. And every time we visit one, it's either not true or it's something only we can see. Like this reflection from the waterfall just kind of walking at me, trying to put its hands all over my hot body. Oh, it's just my shadow trying to fight me. The next one has us fighting a bunch of mini Vivies. Vivi changed into a nobody. One of the 7 special things was this mysterious ghost train that shows up with no passengers. So we see it, but apparently no one else sees it. And when they try and get us to look closely, it's just not there. In our dreams, Namine comes to us to show us all her fan art of the Kingdom Hearts universe, and it's really boring. Then she's like, you should never even have existed. And it's like, damn! Ansem and the guy in red, whose name is supposed to be Diz, talk about the fact that Ansem's memory is finally coming back, and anyone who had ties to Sora has their memory slowly coming back, I guess? Now, Roxas has some more dreams about Sora, and this one's great, because at the end, Pluto is supposed to be running away with a letter in his mouth. If you look closely, it's just him sliding along. We then see a presumably new robed figure who has 2 Keyblades, which is the best thing you could ever have. In this cutscene, we see Roxas slowly kind of fading in and out from Sora, so there's got to be something like maybe they're the same person or something like that. But then right here, if you look in the window as the birds pass, you can see him quickly change into Sora. Roxas suddenly doesn't exist anymore, and his friends can't see or hear him, and so he kind of cries about it. In the alleyway outside, Axel shows back up, and we think we have to fight him, but then time freezes, and Namine is like, run! We run to the mansion, and then Roxas literally has to have a flashback of him being Sora, opening a keyhole with a key. The Keyblade. I don't know how he didn't just look down and go, duh. Then shown some scenes where we're clearly part of this robed figure gang, and they're called the Organization 13. In fact, Axel knows us and says, you can't turn on the organization, and it's honestly pretty confusing. Who the fuck are we then? Suddenly, Namine disappears, and the man in red, Diz, shows up and is like, nothing you can ever figure out is going to change your fate, dude. You're just going to have to do whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. Diz is trying to stop Namine from telling us all about her secret fan art about me and Sora kissing, but he's doing a really bad job of it. We then learn in the past that I was part of Organization 13, but someone beat my ass and then took me here and put me inside of a computer because apparently I have half of Sora's power and I've got to give it back. Roxas is very afraid of technology, so he destroys the computer. I guess Axel and I were good friends because he tries to stop me, but I kick his ass and I think he dies. We meet Diz in this room where we saw this big, huge pod that looked like a flower earlier, and we just can't hit him because he's a fucking image. I guess we're inside the computer, so he's just data. Suddenly, the pod opens up, and we get to look upon Sora, and I guess, well, we were told we had to give up our power back to Sora, so take it, buddy. That train from earlier arrives, and off steps Mickey, but he's in Organization 13 robes. Ugh. Down and Goofy look at my pod, and it's not open anymore, but they're trying to get it open and get me out of there. Sora wakes up from his first wet dream ever, and we finally go out into the town to see what's going on. We meet up with Roxas's 3 friends, and they all saw the king around Twilight Town, so now we just gotta find him. This is the point in the show where Sora says, nothing ever changes, guys, whips out his Keyblade and beats up some bad guys. A short dude in black robes gives us this bag of money, and it's actually just Mickey. I mean, he's got ears sticking out of his hood. Sora has an awkward, heartfelt goodbye with the 3 people he just met for the first time. He feels like he knows them, but he doesn't know how. Namine and Axel admire her nasty, nasty fan art, while this other guy in black robes shows up and says that Diz wants Namine gone. The train we were on disappears as we get off near this magical tower. And for some reason, they're using Pete as the main bad guy to tie everything together. He's like in every world. I don't understand why, because this guy's a bumbling fucking idiot. God, this opening is so long. And we finally get to Yen Sid, who explains a bunch of shit to us. Things like the nobodies and the heartless. The fact that if someone gets their heart taken, which is not your literal heart, but like I don't know, like a soul or something. I'm not really sure. But if someone gets that taken, they turn into both a heartless and a nobody. And so you're going to fight a bunch of nobodies that don't exist, quotes. A game that offers you to read a book, like in the middle of the game about some stuff, it's a little cryptic, but you can do it. The three fairy godmothers give us some new clothes, and these new clothes give us new abilities. They're called drives, and as you start to learn them, you can use them as like this kind of limit break. You fill up a drive meter as you fight and do things. You can also pick up drive orbs, and you get to change into these things, and they all have different attributes, one being magic, one being physical, one of them using special moves, one of them being a master form using 2 keyblades, but you get to use these and level them up as you play through the game. Maleficent's cloak gets dropped by her little bird friend right into the middle of these fairy godmothers after they help us, and they're like, oh no, it's Maleficent, but they can't speak her name like Voldemort or something. When you leave a world, you get to be on this world map with the gummy ship. Now, you do still have to do gummy ship things, and I'm not going to show any of that shit. I hate it. But most often, you'll find yourself just flying over to it and entering it in the gummy ship. Our next destination is Hollow Bastion, which was from the last game. This time, however, there's a town inside, and everyone is here. Characters from the last game, a few new characters, but mostly Final Fantasy characters. And in fact, we meet some of them right away. We meet Yuffie, we meet Sid, we meet Aerith, and we even meet Merlin again. And we also get to see Winnie the Pooh's book. The characters joke about the three of them being asleep for a couple of years, I think. Merlin teaches us our first magic spell, Blizzard. And also the magic system's a little different in this game. You use MP until it goes away, and then it slowly recharges so that you can use it again. I really don't like the system. Can be refilled with the little bubbles that drop like from the first game, but I think they wanted to tone down magic because it was too strong. It's just not that great. After speaking with Leon, we also see some members of Organization 13 who are there to just talk down to us. I'm not sure. They're like, look at that. Somehow we find the keyhole to this world, which if you remember from the last game, lets us lock the path for darkness to get to this world. I don't know why we're locking it. There's always fucking darkness here. We're shown this weird throne room again where they're all talking, and this one guy is talking about killing us, but then he doesn't actually want to do it himself. He wants one of the other guys to do it. I don't know. It's really awkward.
The dynamic between these people right now is I'm not happy with. Yeah, non-threatening, really. The way that they're talking, I don't like any of this.
Okay, fine, here's what one of the gummy missions looks like, just so I can show it off. But it's really not too different from the last one, from the last game. It is some different, but I don't know. It wasn't enough to really make me interested. After locking Hollow Bastion, our first destination is to see Mulan, which is pretty cool. Since this is our first time meeting Mulan, we don't know she's a woman, but the only one of us who does is Goofy.
Goofy's like, I can smell she's a girl.
Playing through Mulan's world is pretty much like playing through the movie. At this point, we're trying to prove that we're men and we should be part of this army, so we all do these odd jobs. I don't even know what these are, but they're just odd jobs for the captain. You know, things like keeping our morale up by beating up enemies and taking their orbs, and then smashing rocks on top of mountains. They accept us in the army, and as we move forward, we get caught in this cave that traps only me and Mulan, which happens in each world. You will get trapped in with the special character of that world, and the two of you will have to fight your way out of it.
He didn't make any noise. They couldn't have someone go, well, you know, like, what the fuck?
While we were trapped in the cave, Shan Yu actually burns the fucking village down. They use this part of the movie to take advantage of the new stuff on the PS2 that they're like working on, where you can have hundreds of enemies on screen at a time. Not all of them are actually able to be fought. It's more just like polygons and things on the screen, so it looks like the battle's big. So there's a bunch of enemies flying around every time you kill one, another one comes down to replace it. So you feel like you're in a big, huge, you know, army battle thing. Just like in the movie, Mulan shoots a big explosive thing up at the mountain and causes an avalanche to come down. We then chase Shan Yu back to the castle where the Emperor sits in waiting, and we're supposed to stop these guys from breaking down the gates to get to the Emperor, and so we beat the shit out of this dude. Mulan's world ends just the way it does in the movie, with them saying how she saved them all, and then we lock up the world for I don't know why. Next, we head back to familiar ground in Olympus, where we have the Colosseum, but we also get to go into the underworld more often. Ooh. You know, we start by strolling through the underworld, kicking everyone's ass, and then we get to see this cutscene where Hades uses Pete to, like, try and figure out what to do with Hercules. So he says, I know the warrior who can beat Hercules in battle. And this is a cool cameo. Oron from fucking Final Fantasy X comes in here, and he's super strong, because why wouldn't he be? Hades can't be hit in the underworld for some reason, so we've got to just run, and Oron tries to help, you know, play defense. On beginner difficulty, this game is super friggin' easy, but the combat is fun. It's just fun all around. I feel like when I played this game so long ago on crowd mode, it was really hard, but the combat still made up for that. It was just a fun time. Any mode you play this game on, you're gonna get a good combat experience. Apparently up top, Hercules is getting tired, and he's just gonna soldier on. He's not gonna tell anyone he's tired because a true hero doesn't get tired or something. For some reason, Phil makes us do some training, and it's really simple this time. You just hit some pots and get some drive orbs from it. Bro, in the movie, that thing had multiple heads. How is he winning with just the one down? So this medallion in this Organization 13 dude's hand is supposed to help us if we hold on to it, hit Hades down in the underworld. I don't know what he's doing with it, but he's just effing around down here. I don't like it. The battle's kind of weird. He summons all of these water forms with his super awesome guitar and just wails on us, and we have to defeat all of them before the time runs out, or we just lose. Apparently, the Underworld's Coliseum is locked, and the only way to get it unlocked is to trick Sora and gang into unlocking it, which is what we do. We know as the player. We find Pete fucking about down here, too. With Hercules, we beat the shit out of him. I mean, he's Pete. He doesn't stand a chance. Fuck, he didn't really kill the Hydra earlier. This boss battle isn't all bad. You actually get to ride Pegasus around and hit him in the heads, and, he has multiple heads. It's pretty fun. We lock the keyhole to this world, and we're done for now. I do quickly visit the 100-acre wood just for the cutscene to play out, but I don't actually find any of the pages to do anything here. I just really didn't need to. Next, we find ourselves strolling into Beast's castle. The Beast is acting kind of weird and, covets his little rose that would kill him if it gets hurt, but, you're on a time limit, buddy. If you're not trying, what's the point? After Donald's near-death experience, Belle has us go try and find Beast in the castle, and there's a bunch of, monster shit here to fight. And then we have the shittiest little puzzle where you have to drag these two around to light a candle, and there's 3 or 4 candles, and you just have to watch them walk super slow. Mr. 13 here is trying to goad Beast into being angry, but, we come in and we do our thing, and he's not so angry anymore. He gets pissed it doesn't work, so he sends this little ball with chains after us. Afterwards, it transforms into something that kind of resembles how the Beast stands. I don't know, but it's really cool because you can bring the chandelier down and whip its ass with it. Rose turns out to be the lock for the key inside of this world, and so we lock that shit. Hey, it's Minnie, Chip, and Dale, but apparently the Castle Disney is surrounded by all these thorny things, so, we gotta go talk to her now. Look at that animation. Look at it. If you've been a particularly bad boy, you sometimes turn into anti-Sora when you try and activate one of your other drives. You can't do anything about it until it runs out, but it's kind of cool. You're like a Heartless. When we reach her, we decide we have to escort her to a special room underneath the throne. Come on, Minnie, run past the vicious enemies. I swear to God, this isn't cliche. Maleficent is back, and she touches this big old glowy orb and says, bad things are gonna happen. And Minnie says, you better stop if you know what's good for you. Nice. Suddenly a special door appears, and Merlin actually just kind of pops up out of nowhere and says, it's a gateway to a special world. Ah, shit, we're old-timey. For some reason, the characters think that the old-timey Pete, who has probably nothing to do with what's going on, is the bad guy here, so we beat the shit out of him. After this, we have to enter a couple different doors, or little curtains, and we go inside to different Mickey cartoons. This one, we happen to be super big in a village. There's another one that has, a house on fire with a bunch of cars everywhere. After we complete them, we see a cutscene from the point of view of Pete. I'm not really sure why it's like this, but this is what they decided to do. Maleficent just tells him that he needs to take that big glowy orb called the Cornerstone. And that's just what he does. Then have a battle with both Petes for some reason. I'm not really sure who the other Pete's side is on because he's just ramming into everyone on the battlefield. Everybody's happy we got the Cornerstone back and kicked Pete's ass right out of that world. And the doors spit poor Donald out and he just fucking rolls around on the ground. Then the keyhole reveals itself to us and we shove our blade right inside. Ah, God, I knew we were going to have to come to Pirates of the Caribbean. It's really funny when they discuss dark things with the Disney characters. Like, this guy says, I'm neither among the living nor the dead, and Pete's like, duh. Story loosely follows the movie. In reality, you have this map that you can select a couple different places from, and you just follow the story beats quickly. And the story beats are really just, go here, go here, go here. And eventually, they do the thing at the end where someone cuts their hand and drops a, gold coin inside of the chest, and you end up fighting the end guy, which is Barbados. The one big thing about this place is that the pirates, when you fight them, turn into regular people and can't be hit when out of the moonlight. But when they're in the moonlight, they turn into the, dead selves, just like in the movie. But that's when you can hurt them. But you have no way to get them there. They just kind of wander there on their own. You have no way to push them. So after fighting everyone, they finally drop the coin in as Captain Jack Sparrow shoots, him just like in the movie. Hey, we're revisiting a good one, Nightmare Before Christmas. I said this in Kingdom Hearts 1 and I'll say it again. In college, I dressed up as Halloween Sora for a costume little contest for band. If you want to see it, go watch Kingdom Hearts 1 video and you'll see the picture. Well, the Heartless are in fucking Halloween Town and it's Maleficent's doing. And then she tries to convince Lock, Stock, and Barrel to help her by doing some shit to Santa. This is what it looks like when Jack decides to just fucking walk in and ruin Christmas for everyone.
Yes.
First, we kill some Heartless sitting outside of Santa's workshop. Next, we help Santa in his workshop because Lock, Stock, and Barrel are being little fuckers. Maleficent decides it's Oogie Boogie time and brings that fucker back. Sally tries to warn Santa and says, don't open your door if Jack knocks, just keep it fucking locked. But it turns into shenanigans when she has to fucking pull her leg off again to save him. Somehow it works, and then we end up getting into a boss battle with him because, he's a bad guy. We gotta beat his ass. So we gotta walk through these portals at the end of these conveyor belts, all while hitting presents into this little platform he's in. Apparently they weigh him down enough to bring him down and we kick his ass.
Nice, okay, got it.
Is Jack the keyhole for this world, or is it his costume? Why didn't he take it off first? Axel decides he's gonna go yoink Kairi from wherever she is. She didn't even really remember Sora that well, but he's here to fucking kidnap her. Oddly enough, Pluto runs up out of nowhere and just leads her through a dark portal. I'm not sure if Pluto opened it or Namine, probably Namine. But she just ends up with these 3 people Roxas used to be friends with. We decide it's time to revisit Twilight Town, and in doing so, we find another 13 member standing here, lecturing us with vague shit. Roxas's friends tell them, well, Kairi got kidnapped almost fucking immediately, dude. He just stepped through a black portal and came and yoinked her. Or wait, was it like a week later? I'm not sure. Sora opens the bag that Mickey gave him earlier, and there just so happens to be one of the little blue crystals from the trophy they won at the struggle contest, and it's apparently, part of the story, and it's the keyhole for this world. If this is how Organization 13 uses its time, it really seriously needs to rethink its priorities, because why do we always see them sitting around like their easy chair thrones in this really stupid room? We go back to Apollo Bastion and meet Cloud, who starts to cry about Sephiroth. We meet back up with Sid and Yuffie, and they tell us something's going on with the computer system, and we probably need to go see Leon, who's working on it now. I'm a little disappointed they used the cast from Final Fantasy X-2 and this way. I'm not sure why they did this, but they're little pixies or fairies, I'm not sure. But why weren't they just regular people like they were in the game? On our way to see Leon in this secret computer room, we meet up with Tifa, who we haven't met yet, but she just starts fucking kicking things. Sora has never seen a fucking computer before and is just randomly smacking at the keyboard. I mean, honestly, Leon's like, bro, you're gonna break that shit. As we're working on the computer, Stitch randomly drops from the ceiling onto the computer, making Donald so mad that he, does his trademark anger stomping shit on the computer, which fucking breaks it. Well, it doesn't just break it, but it makes the MCP, the main bad guy of Tron, get upset. And he has Sark, this guy, come port us into Tron. Somehow we escape, and we meet Tron himself, the actual good guy of the film. Tron has us traipsing around the computer system as if this was like a visual representation of it, and we do these cool little puzzles. I guess this one is find the box after it disappears. Tron, for some reason, forgot the password, probably didn't write it down, and just thought he'd remember it like everyone does. Yeah, most likely. We leave and see if we can find the password outside, and what we come to is Tifa just destroying the room that she was in earlier, just punching and kicking. It's finally fucking Mickey. I feel like he should have been in here earlier, but whatever. Anyway, Mickey tells us something about the door to darkness, which is just hilarious coming from his mouth. Mickey also says, hey, you know that guy you beat last time at the end of the other game? Well, I don't think that's Ansem. And they're like, no, it totally was. Mickey tells us the password to this computer is just the 7 Princesses of Heart, which are from Kingdom Hearts 1. It's just a bunch of the princesses from the Disney World. So we come back in here and we start playing some Tron games that don't actually resemble the real Tron game. I'm pretty sure the light cycle has a beam coming out the back and you have to try and make the other person crash into it, but whatever. We fight a boss, and you have to hit him and gain the clusters he drops onto the ground as little orbs. Every time you gain enough, you can just kind of freeze him in the air. He's not that hard anyway, but, you know, it's helpful to freeze him so you can wail on him. After the boss battle, we're able to get the password in and take back control of the computer system. And then Tron heartfeltingly gives the new password to us as Sora, Donald, and Goofy, my new friends. Can an adult please come over here and explain to Sora how terrible of a job he's doing at this computer? Well, then he decides to fucking smash the computer himself, but it happens to bring up a picture, and Mickey comes up and says that's Ansem. So the boss we fought last game really wasn't Ansem. Mickey doubles down on this, but afterwards, Sora grabs Mickey and just starts dragging him away. Like, who else gets to just drag Mickey around? So in the last game, you can see we defeat him before he opens Kingdom Hearts completely or tries to take it, I'm not exactly sure. But it really was not Ansem. It was just someone calling himself Ansem. Oh, it's so great when the Disney characters say funny things. Goofy says, "Aren't you the dark part of Cloud's heart?" Oh, so wonderful. After this, we see like thousands of Heartless just descending upon us, and so everyone in town kind of has their own cute little cutscene where they help fight. Cloud and Leon do like this buddy-buddy routine for way too long, and they're making all these silly little jokes. Mickey's like, "You guys go save Riku and Kairi like you were gonna, and we'll take care of this." But for some reason, we're like, "But our friends are also part of this, so we're gonna actually help." And so they, you know, go against Mickey's wishes. But it doesn't matter because he's okay with it. We then get to see a cutscene of someone in Organization 13 walking down a lot of stairs with nothing happening but him walking down a lot of stairs. It's very weird. But then we also see these guys talking, and they have a lot of cryptic things to say. A lot of it doesn't quite make sense, except for that the leader of the Organization 13 is doing something weird. We've been told that nobodies, the thing that happens when you lose your heart and part of you turns into a heartless and the other part turns into a nobody, these people are super strong nobodies, but they don't have feelings. They're not real. They don't exist. So the water guy comes back and tries to kick our ass before we fight all the Heartless. Now, during his fight, you actually get to fight those water things again. And again, if you don't kill them within the time limit, you just fucking lose. It's kind of weird, but hey, that's what they wanted to do. Anyway, this guy actually has a pretty cool fight, and it's one of the first hard fights, even on beginner. You know, you can't just run in and attack him. You have these little phases where you have a chance, and you can deal damage, and then he kicks your ass. Whoever thought anyone would fucking believe that they would kill Goofy off is insane. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. It's worth it, though, to see Mickey get this vengeful face. Like, he's about to get huge revenge on these dudes. The surprise is not necessary. No one was gonna kill fucking Goofy. This is why I said I wasn't gonna do a deep dive, but this is Xehanort, and he is Ansem's nobody, or Xehanort's nobody. I'm not really sure exactly who everybody is. What matters most is that we get to fight thousands of Heartless on a battlefield where most of them are not, you know, able to be interacted with. It's really just like this small select few, but it is still fun because as you kill them, which you do quickly, you get to fight more quickly, so it's not a bad battle. Organization 13 just kind of keeps bullying us, and apparently they want to get rid of all the Heartless. It's still not clear why yet, but that's what he's hoping for. Apparently every time I use my Keyblade to kill a Heartless, the heart does something for him, so I probably should stop, but he knows our weakness is that we gotta kill them to stop them. Oh, it literally makes up Kingdom Hearts, or it opens Kingdom Hearts? I don't really know, but we're just gonna keep killing them. Man, they're back in their fucking easy thrones talking about nothing. But they do say that if Sora dies, his heart will really fucking make Kingdom Hearts come alive. For some reason, Donald has a sea salt ice cream thing from Twilight Town, and here we go. I guess it's the key holder to this world. At this point, we can actually go back and revisit all the worlds we've been to, and we've got some more things to do. It's like a secondary quest, but it isn't as interesting as I would have hoped it would have been. You know, now that I'm an adult and I get to play this, it's okay, it's not bad. In this area, when you go back to Mulan, you actually get to see that Riku may have been here helping everyone, so yeah, Riku might be around, we're not sure. You do fight this cool flying boss that feels something kind of like Shadow of the Colossus. One of the members comes to try and steal the rose away from Beast yet again. I don't know if they're trying to use him and his strength and his anger, but we actually get to fight this guy. He holds both Belle and the rose hostage until we, you know, kind of knock it out of his hands. Then he attacks us with all these different kinds of swords, maybe? I don't know, metallic type weapons, and blasts us with beams, but we're just too strong, we beat his ass. Back in the underworld, Hades has somehow taken control of Oron's mind with a voodoo doll. Starts fighting Hercules because that's what Hades commands him to do with the voodoo doll, but we get it back from Hades and give it back to him, which restores his mind. This time, Hercules helps us fight Hades, now that we can actually hurt him. See, he puts out these big glowy orbs and we smack them at Hades, and then we can start dealing damage to him. In Port Royale, one of the organization members is just kind of effing around, and he takes some of the coins and gives the nobodies the coins, and you gotta kind of hunt them down and just get them back. But that's it, you just go to the different maps and fight them until you get the coin. I wasn't very fond of the boss. See, you're supposed to hit him with magic and he'll drop the money. The money you then pick up and put in the treasure chest before you can damage him. Once you get all of it in there, you can damage him, but sometimes it's hard to get the money out of him before he knocks you out of putting the money into the chest. Back in Nightmare Before Christmas, Dr. Finkelstein makes this new robot that he has, and he's trying to put heart in it, and it goes crazy and you've got to stop it. Along the way, Lock, Stock, and Barrel all kind of fuck around with some of the presents, so you've got to use these boxes to capture them. All you have to do is hit them enough to take their health down and then hit the boxes at them. And then you get on this Gatling gun that fires presents directly into the boxes, and you can also hit Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Eventually, the last boss of this area is the robot that Dr. Finkelstein made, and it is a little difficult. It's got 3 parts, and it shoots lasers and shit. Okay, time to go to somewhere new. This time we go to Agrabah, somewhere we've already been in Kingdom Hearts 1. This does play into it because we already know the characters. Iago wants to make amends, so he tries to get us to help him, but Princess Jasmine's not having it. Apparently, Aladdin feels kind of weird and he wants to stay in the city instead of hanging out with Jasmine, and Jasmine's like, I don't know where the fuck he is. It's kind of weird. Tries to get Aladdin to agree to find some treasure and he'll forgive him, but he's probably fucking around. Now, Pete just strolls right into the Cave of Wonder, even though we know that people with, like, bad intentions or bad heart can't go in. He just walks right in. Donald shows his greedy side, while Pete stands in the background and just kind of watches us. We actually end up finding Jafar's lamp, and we take it away. Iago actually helps us, and he flies away with it, stopping Pete and the little shop owner from getting it from him. This leads into a battle with these 2 big Heartless, I think they're Heartless, and they've got fire and ice as their elements. You can kind of press the triangle button reaction command to use one of their elements against the other one, although I just kind of wail on them until they die. We lock the world and are immediately able to re-enter for our second visit, which kind of feels weird, but hey, it lets us. And we get to see Iago watching Jafar pop out of the lamp. Aladdin tells us he's out of the lamp, and we've got to use the carpet to fly around until we beat him. This sequence of carpet rides is not nearly as tough as the SNES version was. In fact, it's much, much easier. So we chase Jafar in this like kind of watery, misty form down. We must then fly around and find these eggs, and we have to use the right magic on them and hit all the eggs at once with the specific magic. So here it would be fire. Iago tricked us. I mean, Jafar's a genie, so he probably threatened him. But he took us down here, and we're not really that happy he took us so far away from where he really is. This has us doing another carpet ride, but this time we're escaping or getting to the place fast. I'm not sure. You're just kind of moving around the screen with a background. You don't really get hit by much. This fight is against Jafar yet again. This is the second time we fought Jafar in his genie form. The first game I fought him once. He's not too hard. You fly around on the carpet and whale him in the face. Who's ready for Lion Sora and Turtle Goofy, who's very cute? You know, Donald's a bird, which, whatever. But you actually start this place with being a lion, and you see the hyenas from the actual movie of, you know, Lion King, and you fight them. You also fight a lot of heartless and nobodies around this area as you try and figure out how to be a lion. Honestly, being a lion isn't too bad. The fighting is pretty good because the game just constantly sends you forward with all of your attacks because it knows that you've got to be fast, and this lion form is kind of weird, which means that all of the areas are open, very open, wide areas, so you can dash around and fight. Of course, at this point, Scar is the king, but there's also a Pete lion, which is just ridiculous looking, and he fucking hobbles down the mountain because he's fat. The scenes pretty much just follow the movie how it goes. He's trying to have the women hunt down stuff for them, but they can't. We then see cutscenes with Simba and Timon and Pumbaa, which are all things from the movie. You even see him lay down and push all the weeds and dust around in the monkey Rafiki. He actually reads them in the game and sees, oh, he's gonna be back. Nala and Simba meet up with each other and ignore the fact that because it's a small pride, they're probably related. Simba does shrooms as Timon and Pumbaa are definitely into drugs, and then he sees his father up in the sky. He definitely did some drugs.
He's just a good.
After this drug-fueled revelation, we head back to Pride Rock. Scar and Simba do the whole thing where, you know, they blame each other for things, and it really comes out that Scar killed his dad, and so we have to fight him. Scar's battle is okay, I guess. It's kind of cool. I like when he changes into this, like, crazy nobody-looking form and uses special powers, or I'm not really sure if it's nobody form. It just looks neat, and he just dashes around this stage, and it's kind of cool. You have to get out of his way. You can't even hurt him. Sometimes something in the world is the keyhole, or there just is a keyhole. I'm never really sure what it's going to be. Our second revisit to the area is really boring. It's really just Simba pretending like he doesn't have it to be king, so we've got to help him by taking him out and having him feel better about himself because there's a ghost of Scar wandering around. Even Rafiki says he can't do it as he is now because he's a stupid, he's, you know, living in the past. We do fight the hyenas and they run away from you like crazy. You've got to beat all three of them, and there's this kind of looping around area where you chase them until you destroy them. Simba lays there feeling sorry for his drug-fueled self, and then he sees the ghost of Scar. It's because he's still on drugs. The gang actually goads Simba into attacking the shadow because he needs the courage, but literally Donald calls him the do-nothing king, and it sounds really weird. I don't know why they had him say that. As if there was nothing new that could ever happen, he goes back and acts just like he did in the last time we were here, and even in the movie, he just kind of goes and fights Scar like you would expect him to, and it's really not a hard battle. Except for the fact it's another Shadow of the Colossus battle with this huge ass, I don't know what this is, but it's big, and you fight it, you can use the triangle command to do some cool kind of counters with him. Once he falls down the ground or kind of during his fight, you can just fly right up to his back, where there's this crazy thing on his back. It's the actual, you know, Heartless form, so you can go up there and beat it up too. We head back to Hollow Bastion, and the fighting is getting even better. As I level up, I get more attacks that send my character flying forward at the enemy. It's just fun.
I don't like that little.
Leon looked at a little too much porn on the computer, so he got a really bad virus and it's fucking shit up. Somehow it summons Heartless directly into the town, and it just keeps kind of sending them everywhere. The three girls from 10-2 actually talk to you and say we're the Gull Wings, which is, you know, their little squad in the game. But they say, we're going to do stuff to you. Never mind, we're just going to give you a cool sword. And the sword is actually really helpful. It's what you use to level up in this game at the end, where you have this Keyblade equipped, and whenever you defeat enemies, when your health is critical and beeping, you get 100% extra experience. You can tie that together with any other experience gaining things and gain tons of experience. We go back to Tron World to try and stop the MCP from destroying shit while everyone else makes a special disc that's supposed to help us fight him. Tron helps us defeat many different viruses and things, and, well, it's really just Heartless, but on the outside, Leon and Aerith bring the disc over to the computer now that it's done to help us defeat him. Put it in there slow, Aerith. Ah, damn it.
What are you loading?
It's just porn.
The internet is for porn. Apparently Merlin used magic on this frisbee so that Tron would be much better at disc golf. Look at that retro background as we ride this thing kind of across this line. I'm not sure what we're doing, but we fight a lot here. We've now got to take on both Commander Stark and the MCP at the same time. All we have to do is destroy some of these shields blocking the MCP, and with Tron, we're able to attack him directly by just kind of deleting him. That's literally the move. We get together, and we push some buttons, and I guess we delete them. Actually, if we hold it down, we delete them faster. After we kick their asses, we just kind of joke around for a bit until Sora decides to say, let's make him sing and dance. Everyone is sad that Tron, who is data in a computer, dives into a hole. He's data, bro. He's fine. Apparently, as Sora runs his little fingers across the keyboard, it tickles Tron, which is a little gross. Tron also looks inside of the files and finds out that Hollow Bastion is actually originally called Radiant Garden. So he shows everyone how beautiful it can be as long as you just change the name of the place you're in. We head back to Twilight Town, and apparently you can be friends with someone in about 5 seconds of them arriving and leaving. So they're friends with Kairi. The gang determines that there must be 2 Twilight Towns since Sora has both the blue little crystal from earlier and they also have one. So that means there must be a way to get to another Twilight Town. Mickey also says he can't tell Sora about Riku because he has a promise to keep. but honestly this just seems silly. I think it's just another thing to be dramatic about. Head down into the mansion, and just as we saw at the beginning of the game with Roxas, you can step through this little portal and it takes you somewhere else. And they know they're somewhere else because the computer on this side has been destroyed, probably by Roxas. In the corner of one of the rooms down there, there's just a portal to the darkness or a portal to time? I'm not really sure what they're doing here. Well, first we fight nobodies by ourselves, and then Axel comes in and helps us fight some nobodies. And then nobody dies. That's a joke. Axel dies and he's a nobody, but he can't feel anything. Or maybe he can. I'm not sure. God damn, it's these guys again. And apparently Axel touched Sora's heart, which sounds dangerous. And now the name of this confusing place is the world that never was. So we're where we never was and we're now? I fight a bunch of dudes, and at this point the game really shows its combat prowess by giving you so many different abilities to use. And I've just used all the AP up items on myself, so I can use every ability in my repertoire. So that's awesome. Though we do come up to a boss that's a little bit of a wall, even on beginner, mostly because of the way that the game works, and it's kind of my fault. See, this boss battle is hard because you need to be able to dodge and get out of the way of his attacks. Just like any other battle against an organization member, you have to wait for them to finish their attacks or at least catch them at the right moment. The problem is that sometimes they just can't be hurt, so you need to be able to dodge out of the way, and I didn't level up any of my drive forms, which, if you level them up, will give you some movement options. So I die a couple times, kind of, being bullheaded and not wanting to go level those things up just to get the solution, and instead, I fight them en natural, and I do beat them after a couple times. Obviously I could have gone back and leveled up properly. In the next cutscene, we have an epic fight with me, 1 Keyblade, and the other dude, 2 Keyblades. I actually happen to have the decisive pumpkin. You can see it in the cutscene, which is kind of neat that you see whatever you have equipped. But this fight goes on for a second, and then it ends with us figuring out that this dude is Roxas. We then see a cutscene where they're showing this kid who happens to be right when my nobody is created. It shows my name floating in front of him. Then he rearranges the letters and adds an X, and that's how they made Roxas. Isn't that fucking clever? Well, the X does something weird to us, and actually it's supposed to be a way to control us. I'll give you that one. Won't go anymore, but the X is a way to control us, so he imprints us with an X and controls us. We see this cute little dream realm where Roxas and Axel are both dying. I mean, we killed both of them, so they're dying together. They were best friends, and they're talking about old times and wishing they could see each other again soon. Well, we're definitely on our way to the end of the game. I mean, we're in a place that never was, and there's this big building in front of us. We've got to figure out where Kairi is, and Riku. Damn, size 50 shoes, bro. What is up with her feet? Okay, Namine's just coming through the dark portals, trying to get Kairi to follow her. I mean, the first thing she says is believe in yourself. If I was coming out of a dark portal, I'd probably say something like, you can trust me, everything's fine, come through. We see a cutscene where someone we don't know pushes someone we do know into a dark portal, or he escapes into it. Kairi sees this person and kind of remembers them. Pluto remembers them too. Is that Riku? The next thing I do is equip a Keyblade called 2 Become 1. See, there's this little mechanic where sometimes at this point in the game, you can acquire a new drive form called Final Form, but only if you get lucky. Well, this Keyblade actually makes it so you can only either turn into the Final Form or Anti-Sora. So I just use it over and over in the Coliseum until I get it. After this, I power level my Wisdom drive form, which is pretty easy if you go to the old-timey place. This little area right here has some enemies that spawn in. If you go in with full drive, go in and kill them and leave with some drive left, you can walk into the door that leads back to Disney Castle. And for some reason, the game kicks you out of drive form and gives you a full drive that you can use again. Luckily, if you turn around, you can go right back in and go back to the area and fight again. Do this over and over until you get a full form, a full drive form. I even do it with Valor afterwards because it's pretty easy. Another fun one to do is the limit form, which is apparently new to Final Mix. You use this and it turns you into kind of Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora. You have some special abilities you can use, but the only way to level up this form is to use the special abilities of Limit. And when you do, you press triangle over and over and over to add on to the effect, and you use a little bit of MP, and you also have this final special move. The only time you get experience is if you hit something with that final special move. After this, I come back to this crazy scene. I do not want to deal with this, so maybe someone else can help me. While we're dealing with this crazy amount of Heartless, Diz, the guy in red from way earlier in the game, and Mickey meet up. Diz is carrying this very odd contraption, and he eventually takes off his mask. His mask ends up revealing that he is Ansem the Wise, so he was in the game the whole time. Awesome, Christopher Lee. He tells Mickey some bullshit about being the one to bear the burden of all the problems that have happened, but honestly it's affecting everyone in the world, so you shouldn't bear them alone. Mickey's like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, yeah, I don't know. The Heartless just pile right on top of Sora, and I don't know what's going on, but I usually don't have trouble with them, but then he sees Kairi and this mysterious dude fighting. I like it that everyone keeps calling Sora Roxas. Obviously, they know that Roxas is Sora's nobody, but he keeps getting upset that they do it, even though at this point it's pretty obvious. This guy has guns and fires at you from upside down. I don't know why he does, maybe to be edgy. This fight's not too hard. You can use the reaction command triangle to kind of block some of his shots, or just get your face fucking melted when you forget to push the buttons correctly. After beating his ass, we travel further and further up in the world that never was, and we start seeing these weird structures. The fights at this point are against pretty much only nobodies because they're the most powerful, and they honestly are cool. The designs are neat, their attacks are neat. It's a fun time.
But I'm just glad you're here.
You are different, Kairi. You've grown. And I'm growing as we speak. This heartfelt reunion continues as we find out the other person with her, even though he looks like Ansem, is actually Riku. So that's not confusing. Sora holds his hand, closes his eyes, and just kind of pictures Riku. I mean, honestly, this guy could be fucking anybody. But after this, he only speaks with Riku's voice, which is so bizarre. We also then see Ansem talking with Mickey. He's like, I'm gonna digitize fucking Kingdom Hearts. And Mickey's like, okay, sure thing, man. We're still trying to catch up with Mickey, and we actually have to fight Gambit, which is a weird fight. It's fine, I guess. He just throws a bunch of cards around the stadium. For some reason, we've got to do a Justin Timberlake time battle, and I'm not sure why. I mean, maybe on the harder difficulties, it's actually difficult, but this is more or less just a regular old fight. Other than the fact that I start out as a die and I have to hop around until I finally come out of it. It even shows my drive form being at level 1 and slowly declining. Like, let me just do 1d6 damage. After him, we fight the next person. We're just going through members of Organization 13. Like, why did we ever think we were gonna have trouble? We're so friggin' strong. No one can stop us, man. This one's neat because this guy uses his big kind of sword axe thing, and when he drops it, you can pick it up and just whack him in the face as hard as you possibly can. Look at this. Just whack, 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 whack. Sora still takes forever to understand that Roxas is his nobody. I mean, maybe it's because I'm the player, but he's like, when did I turn into a Heartless? Oh, right, in the first game you turn into a Heartless, and then Kairi brings you back by pulling her up to her breast, and you're like, I'm awake. So Riku tells us that he fights Roxas once, but he loses. Then he comes back when he's stronger and fights him again. I think he's hoping to be able to wake Sora up by beating his ass, but that's just not how it works. Instead, after he does that, he brings him over to Diz, which is the start of the game. What he's trying to do is get Roxas to go back into Sora because, I mean, that's how he's going to get into work. He wants the nobody to go back into him. And that's why at the beginning of the game, Sora and gang are asleep. Sora's asleep because his nobody's out there fucking around. His nobody has to give himself up so that Sora can wake up. And this is where Ansem tells Mickey, well, they definitely in Twilight Town, the other one is all data. So I was hoping I can get Kingdom Hearts to be data, but clearly it's out of my league. I don't know what I was doing. Then tries to convince Xehanort that he's like dumb, and why did you think you could ever control Kingdom Hearts? You're not going to be able to do it. Look at me. I thought I was so smart in doing this thing, and now it's going to blow up in my face. The consequences, though, are that Kingdom Hearts now releases a bunch of the hearts that Sora released by killing Heartless with the Keyblade. This does set back Organization 13, and Xehanort's kind of upset, and he's like, come on guys, you should just, like, if the world's made of light and darkness, just choose darkness, help me. All you have to do is go kill some more Heartless for me. We finally begin the final battles against Xehanort, and stopping him from doing whatever it is he's doing to Kingdom Hearts. It's not really good, but we do this cool cinematic battle on a building. Before I move on, I equip both the Gull Wing, Keyblade, and the other ability that gives me more experience. I go down into critical health, and I go through the tower a couple times, leveling up to like level 60. Now that we're off the building running up it, we use buildings with our Keyblade, chop them in half, and fucking kick them all around. Next, we use the nobodies to fuel up this big cylinder, and when we get enough of them in there by just kind of tapping them and they fly in, you can then charge the cylinder and fire it at this flying thing that Xehanort has made out of nobodies or something. After we beat him, all seems well. Namine opens up a dark portal and tries to get everyone to go through it. But of course, it's a trap, and Riku and Sora get left behind, and now they've got to figure out what they can do. Well, Riku pilots this weird machine while you stand on it and keyblade the shit out of stuff. As you hit enemies, they smack into this big nobody machine and do damage. Or you can block the damage that those enemies are shooting at you, these little bullets. And you get enough energy to then fire this massive laser beam that does do a lot of damage, but is easy to miss as he's kind of moving up and down on the screen. And it doesn't matter where he is on the screen to hit him. If it wasn't cinematic enough, both Riku and Sora smash all these crazy buildings into the nobody that has Xehanort on it. He's also sitting on this throne, it's kind of weird, but we fly through the air gliding, trying to smash into this dude and destroy him. Until eventually he turns into this white-robed dude, and we have to fight an insanely difficult version of him, where we can use these reaction commands to dodge in and out of the air. It's all pretty cinematic, and it is neat. We fight him and kick his ass though, so it doesn't matter. There's even this fun little sequence where you hit triangle and X over and over and over for both of them to reflect all of these crazy shots being shot at them by Xehanort. But it doesn't matter in the end because we're just too crafty for him. Riku works with me and gives me his keyblade, or his sword at least, and I dive in, smashing into him, just slash after slash after slash until I juggle him up into the air and chop him from his back. We then try and lock him like one of the locks in the, multiple worlds, and it actually gets him. He disappears, and as he does, nobody surround us, and I think something happens to us. I'm not sure what it is. But we end up on this beach, and I'm not really sure what this beach is, except for at the very beginning of the game we saw it. The characters talk about how it's so cool to be each other because they're each other's best friends and all that stuff, and it's like, you couldn't imitate that, and they're like, hey. And that is it, folks. The game is over. We get a little bit more story at the end here, actually a lot of it. We see many different cutscenes explaining different things, but there are still too many questions and not enough answers. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, honestly, the games keep going on after this. There are many more titles on different systems, and there's even going to be a game released soon, at least during the time of this video. I'm sure by the time you watch this, Kingdom Hearts 4 will have released, and everyone will rejoice because they know the whole story. But that's the whole point of kind of skipping some of these bigger story things in this game. I don't have enough to work with because there are so many other titles out, and you can actually get those answers today by going and buying those games and playing them. You can even get these games like I did here on the PC or even on one of the newer consoles that contains maybe 5 or 6 games. This allows you to play through many different games and get kind of more of a story, as well as there's even this like cool game that's the story so far. That way you can jump right in or whatever. I don't know. It's like a retail price game. There is one more game on the PS2, but it still isn't quite enough to help us understand the story. It'll help us a little bit, but not enough. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the story, I definitely recommend looking up the Kingdom Hearts story so far, or explained, and you find some videos on YouTube that have people who are way more knowledgeable, as all I'm doing here is trying to beat the game. There ain't no way I'm going to figure out the story unless I sit down for a couple months and plot it out and play all the games, which would be something I would do if I wasn't already doing this. So thank you so much, everyone. Game number 42 beaten. This game is very fun. I played it on beginner, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I played it on beginner, and even on beginner, you feel super powerful. It's a fun game, and I still lost a couple times because, you're blindsided by the Roxas boss fight, which apparently is a wall for a lot of people, which is great because I think that's an important thing to have. Easy mode shouldn't just be immediately you win the game and you just see the story, unless there is an option like that. There are games like that, but this is fun. It was a little bit challenging and I had to figure out what to do, so I recommend this game
to anyone willing to play more Kingdom Hearts games after the first one. You gotta play this game. It's way too fun. You get to meet all these fun characters. These characters are characters you may have seen when you were younger. Maybe you don't know them that well and they're all new to you. But the story of the game, while it is convoluted and messy, it is really interesting and crazy that Disney allowed Square Enix to make something like this. I can't believe this even exists. It's such a crazy game and set up for anything like this. So I definitely recommend it. But now I do want to talk quickly about the beginner mode. Someone posted on one of my videos, I don't play the games for real, I play them on journalist mode, which is kind of weird. I mean, he said that the intended difficulty for a game is, I don't know, it just kind of made something up. I don't find that making much sense, as any difficulty in the game is intended. It's not like they accidentally fucking put it in here. There's just no way. I know I said that earlier, but this is the comment, and I don't know why this is such a big deal. Like, I've already played this game on proud mode. I'm not playing through it again. I've already got to play through 4,000 games, dude. It fucking counts. I don't even know why it's that big of a deal. But hey, it's going to happen with some people. So that's what's going to happen. I also had someone say, this is the bigger one. Someone said that I played on the PC version. The title was a lie. You know, the title is Beating Every PS2 Game. I don't see that as a lie. He said, I wish you had emulated it. I'm like, look, man, everyone voted, and the person on Patreon who chose this game, which this is a Patreon pick, I mean, the patron chose and was okay with this. I think it makes sense. This is still a PS2 game, though. I don't understand the comment. He said it's a false title because you're playing it on PC. You could have at least emulated it. This is emulating it, bro. I don't know what else you want. It'll look pretty similar if I emulated it and then just upped the graphics so it would look nicer, you know, like added some native resolution increases to it. So what's the difference? I mean, this is just a complete package with very little tinkering, and I just buy it and go. Whereas the emulation, you know, I got to set up a little bit. First of all, if I'm going to emulate it, I'll need to get the Japanese version, get the English patch, then make everything work, which that's not an impossible task. Obviously, the next game I play, I do that very thing. The problem is that it's just super easy and people were okay with it. So if they're okay with it and this is what people want, why would I say anything else? I mean, it's just a game. It's going to be hard to say if I'm not playing on the console, it doesn't count at all, which there's going to be some games I don't have a choice with. So I'm not doing this with every game. I absolutely am not. I will do my best to only play on the console when I can. But when things like this come up, where the original game is in Japanese, and, you know, it's easy to play this, you know, PC version, then I'll do that. But it's going to be very rare. There are going to be very few times this happens. So it's not going to become commonplace. I'm not going to suddenly abandon the actual console games. No. I'm in it for the long haul. I have all this equipment for it. I'm not doing that. This is just a one-off that I thought would be fun, and people agreed. So if you don't like it, you can continue to argue. I'm not unreasonable. I will absolutely listen if enough people are like, bro, you got to play it again on PS2. I will do that. I'll do a couple streams where I go to the PS2. I have the PS2 version right now. So if people feel compelled enough to have me redo it, and enough people are here to say I need to redo it, sure. I guess that's not a big deal. At least it's better than something like, I don't know, what am I going to do about Final Fantasy XI, which can only be played on PC right now, and it is a PS2 game. What am I supposed to do about that? So let's just do your best to argue it in a nice way, because I will absolutely listen. And now that I've long-windedly talked about the difficulty and the type of game I'm playing, again, this is all new territory, man. We're all doing this together. No one has done this yet. I'm one of like 8 people working on the PS2 Challenge. We're all learning as we go, and we talk about this all the time. I've actually talked to every single one of the other challengers. We're all kind of, I thought, friends. We're all talking on Discord and figuring things out, and it's really helpful to have that kind of community to figure out what this challenge is really about. And for me, it's making sure I get through a game, talk a bit about the story, show off some stuff, and definitely record all of the games for the PS2 in one place. You can see any part of any game you want by coming here and looking at my streams, or at the very least, watching the video and getting a nice overview. Something that doesn't take too long, something that's palatable, and you get to see any PS2 game you want. if you're interested at all. So, I don't know. This is a cool thing. So if you would like to help and make sure we do this challenge as authentic as possible, please argue with us and let us know what you think. Also, at the very end, I want to once more thank all the patrons. Thank you so much. Obviously, this was a patron pick, so that was really cool. And we'll do some more of those soon. In fact, one person has one in mind, so we'll be doing that eventually here because it's a cool one. Anyway, the next video we're doing is a holiday special. It's the Halloween special, and it's special for two reasons. One, because it's slightly scary, and the fact that the second one is I play this one online. It's going to be great. I'm so excited to show it. We'll be here again soon for Halloween special. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't and you're still here, could you subscribe, I guess? I mean, that would be nice. You know, you don't have to, but thank you so much. Talk to everyone soon. Bye.